All right, so chapter 10. What was that, Charmy? Yeah, you guys should have. Some of you have gotten your tests back, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they have gotten there. Okay, that's cool.
Well, I thought we were talking about something else.
No. All right, so simple interest. What governs it? What's the magic formula for simple interest, folks?
PRT.
There you go. And as I had one class tell me, it's the I-party formula.
Huh.
I like it. It works.
That is easy to remember.
That's exactly right? Don't forget the future value or the maturity value.
MV equals P plus
Yeah, principal plus interest, okay? So don't forget those other two things, that other formula that goes along with it. Alright? Alright, so let's do a quick review problem. Let's see, so I borrow $750 at 49.75% for 17 months. How much do I pay to close the loan? Be careful. Just be careful, okay? So let's write it out. What did I give you? What's the 750?
Principal.
Principal. What else did I give you?
Rate.
Rate 49.75%.
Or 0.4975.
0.4975, right? So 49.75, which you got to move the decimal 2 to the left to give me 0.4975, right? Your percentages are always going to be whack in this class. You should know this. And what's my time? 17 months. What do we have to do with time again, folks?
Turn to years.
Make it into years. How many years are there in 17 months?
5, 12, right?
One and 7 twelfths.
You guys are making me nervous.
What are we?
It's 1 year.
How many years are there in 17
1
months?
year and 5 months.
1 year and 5 months. But I want it in years with not the word months ever.
So 1.
What's 4/12?
Yeah,
It's not 4/12. But
it would be 5 12.
all right. 1 and 5 12.
That's what I said.
Do you want it? Like, should we leave it?
Yeah, because then you use a little button on the calculator.
My advice, folks, is to leave it and leave it as an improper fraction. It's just easier to deal with, okay? It's less punching buttons on the calculator. You are going to work with this on your calculator. If you want, you can tell me that that's 1.6833333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333310 use that decimal in a calculator, right? Because you can't hit the button 3 enough times. So you really need to use a fraction, all right? So you need to do I equals PRT 750 times 0.4975 times, and then the fraction 17 twelfths. Okay?
Did we round it?
No. Well, you round it when it becomes money. So don't round this.
Yeah,
But after you round, after you get a number, then round. Yes.
$528.59.
$528.59. Is everybody happy with that number? Awesome. Is that my final answer?
No, because then you have to do the type of payment.
Yes. Remember that this question asks how much do I have to pay the loan? Remember, when you pay off a loan, you pay the interest and the principal. So I'm asking for the future value. So at the very end, what do? Add the fact that I borrowed $750 on top of that interest for my real payment. Of $1,278.59. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, my credit was crap, and I borrowed it for more than a year, so almost a year and a half. Most banks won't let you borrow that little money for that long a time.
No.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll lend you that $750, but we'll lend it to you for two weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and oh, by the interest rate's going to be more like 250%, not this piddly 49.75.
You might as well just save at that point in time.
That's a friendly interest rate, I think.
Okay, you should have. I was wondering.
All right, so not too bad. All right, so now let's do a couple where we work with days. All right, so remember. Normally, there are 365 days in the year. Please note that when time becomes ordinary, all right? Or when your interest becomes ordinary, there are technically only considered 360 days in the year, and that's only for conversions, okay, folks?
Out of curiosity, for those 5 days that don't exist anymore, what does a bank do? So, like, when they're going through their calendars, they're going through their stuff, and they're like, do they just mark off certain days?
Like,
Or
oh,
like,
this
we
day's
do not
gonna be
comprehend
there,
this?
No,
day-
it's like I said, it's purely for conversions. So when you borrow money for 90 days,
Yeah.
instead of saying that you borrowed it for 90 out of 365 days, they just say you borrowed it for 90 out of 360 days.
So
So
when
it'd
it
be
goes into
90 over
bookkeeping stuff,
Yes.
instead of going from this date to this date, it's like,
Nope.
no, it's just this many days because we're getting rid of 2 of those.
Well, no, the number of days between the dates is always exactly the same. So if it goes from, like I said, if it's full 90 days, it's always 90 days. Even if it's a full 365 days, it's 365 days. But when they go to convert to years, they'll only divide by that number. That's the difference. And that's why it's a little bit weird. So if you, yeah, I agree.
Why? I don't understand.
They're thinking about them.
Makes them extra money. Okay? That's exactly why. So let's do this one, all right? So let's suppose that a company borrows. There's only 2 R's in borrows. For some
Nobody
reason,
said
I
you were
wanted-
good at English.
they were really borrowing, okay? All
Borrow
right?
rolling.
Let's suppose they borrow $10 million
Wow. They must have really good credit.
for 90 days. And folks, this actually happened, okay?
90 days?
Happened.
Yeah.
Who the heck can pay that
Well,
much
they're
back in 90
companies.
days?
It's a
you gotta
company.
think, like if Walmart
Oh, yeah, I
borrows
guess.
$10 million,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
$10
that's
million
like,
from
what,
Walmart
2 weeks
is
for them?
not even.
Not
Probably
even.
only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so and most of the time, folks, this is just a floater, right? So the way companies work is that they borrow money on the float, so that if they can't make payroll, they'll go to hit this $10 million and borrow a certain amount from it. Okay, so it's a lot like I don't know if you guys have ever had floating loans on your houses, where in theory you could borrow money from it if you want, but you don't have to.
So are they still
Yeah,
accruing interest while they have that floating loan?
Only on what they borrow.
Oh, okay.
So what this company had done actually is that they actually had a $500 million floating loan, and they needed $10 million to make payroll. So they said, okay, I'll borrow the $10 million out of this account. And they said, great, okay. Your interest rate, by the way, and the interest at 12.5%. It was a relatively decent company, so the interest rate was relatively low. Normally, when you borrow money for short amounts of time, the interest rates are usually much higher. And so what I want you to do is find the difference $10 million in 90 days, and then just find the difference between interest at exact time versus ordinary time. So what's the interest difference for this particular company? And you will see why this company actually winded up going to court. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, folks. All the way. And the Supreme Court ruled on this. And this is why this is why the rule is that under normal circumstances you consider 365 days. Only when they specify that the interest is different can they use this
Did they
360 days.
specify it in this?
No. But
So
it
they
was
lost.
assumed that it was 360 days.
So did they lose?
Yeah. Yeah, the bank lost.
Ha,
It's very cool.
yes.
Costs a lot of money, by the way. Okay, so anyways, here's how it goes, right? What did I borrow, folks? What's P?
$10 million.
$10 million. Again, remember, 10 million. Not just 10, but 10 bucks. Alright? What was my rate? 12.5%. Again, convert correctly. 0.125. Okay? And then my time is technically 90 days. And this is the exact amount of time. So they borrowed 90 days worth of money. They paid it back after 90 days plus the interest. Note that this is, don't say it's 3 months, because 31 days, 28 days, all that other kind of crap, right?
But
So-
then it would be 90 over 360 when we do the ordinary.
Uh-huh, exactly. So that's the difference between exact and ordinary interest. When you convert your days, instead of dividing by 365, you divide by 360. And you may think, oh, but big deal, right? What difference is that going to make? Well, let's find out. So, 10 million times 0.125 times 90 over 365. And then let's do the other one. 10 million times 0.125 times 90 over 360. And only 1 5, not 2 5s. Double 5 happy. So how much will you get to use the exact time?
308.19
And how much would you have to do ordinary time?
500.
So how much extra did they pay because the bank decided to say, wait, we said it was ordinary, we swear. No, not that much. It's only
Sorry.
right?
$4,280.82.
$4,280.82 more because of using ordinary interest. Are you guys going to just piss away $4,280?
I don't have that much money.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah.
Again, it was more principle for the company than anything else. I mean, the $4,000 for them wasn't really all that big a deal.
It's
But-
like $1.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, but it was the principle, right? The fact that they'd done this once, that means they're doing it multiple times. That means they've been doing it to everyone. And they were like, screw that crap, going to court. And the Supreme Court ruled that in order for you to use this 360-day thing, you must use this phrase.
Do you know what company
It was one of those Northwest Seattle type companies, so it wasn't a Google or a Microsoft or a Facebook or anything like that, but it was one of those startup type businesses that had tons of collateral up front. We could Google it really fast if you want.
You're really judgmental there. One of those Seattle-like companies. Come on, man.
Well, companies that have so much money they don't know what to do with it, right? I mean,
All right.
there's lots of companies out in Seattle that are kind of like that, which is why I'm not in Seattle, because I can't handle that kind of business. Money and I don't get along. All right, so not too bad though. So note, look for this phrase, okay? If you see the phrase ordinary interest somewhere, that's them telling you you're using 360 days instead of 365. Most payday loan shops, checking to cash shops use ordinary interest, okay? And you really got to dig into the contract to find the phrase ordinary interest somewhere inside of it to find that they're actually using 360 days. It's always in the really, really, really small print, okay? And again, it's just their way of saying, oh, I'm just going to charge you more, right? All right, so not bad with days. All right. So how about one like this, though? All right, let's suppose I borrow $500 on April 5th of this year. At let's suppose it's 28% ordinary interest. Ooh. I pay off the loan on, let's suppose I did it this summer at August, well, there's an S in there, August 23rd, 2018. How much did I pay?
We have to figure out the days now.
You have to figure out the days, and you have to figure out the exact number of days. So, oh crap. Note, folks, if you have your packets with you, this is why it would have been nice if you had your math handbook packet today. What it has in the very back of it, folks, is what we call a Julian calendar. There should be one in the book somewhere. What like 728 or something like, or 328 or something like that.
Oh, it's in there, no. I've seen it.
Just I had that written down somewhere. No, I don't know where I wrote it. Where is that Julian calendar?
So should we start bringing those packets to class now?
Yes, you should start bringing the packets, the Practical Business Math Procedures Math Handbook. Start bringing those to class because we'll start using them a little bit more often from now on. This is just one additional piece that we have for them that makes life a little bit easier. Where is that calendar? I know I've seen it too. Crap. It wasn't back in those old chapters, was it?
That's what I was thinking about, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I think it was back in chapter 7 or something like that.
Yeah, those are far.
Ah, there it is. Page 188, folks. In the new book.
I think I see this one.
The Julian calendar. And basically all the Julian calendar is, folks, is it's a calendar that tells you what day of the year every day in the year is. So there are 365 days in the year. So if you look up these two dates in the calendar, if you look up August 23rd, you'll see it's 235, right? That means it's the 235th day, right? April 5th is the 95th day. How many days are there between the 235th day and the 195th day? 140. You just get to subtract. So you don't have to remember how many days, half November, upside down, inside November, with September, screw in December, making love with January, only on February, right? Or however that
Was that only months?
goes.
Never heard that.
Isn't that how it goes?
What are you talking about?
April, May, and September, everybody jump up and down for December or whatever. I don't know. Whatever the poem is that reminds you which months have 31 days and which months have 30 days, right? Or if you use the little knuckle technique where every time you hit a knuckle it's 31 days, every time you don't it's 30 or 28.
I remember that.
Whatever.
I never
Yeah.
understood that.
Me neither. I don't understand them either, right? All I know is that I use the calendar here and it's real easy, okay?
I just looked at my
You can use your calendar on your phone too, perfectly fine. But
calendar.
again,
I Googled the dates.
if you just Google the dates and say how many days are there between April 5th and August 23rd, that's fine too. Again, just make sure that you can do that when you don't have your phone.
So are we gonna have that calendar?
Yes,
on
you
the
will
test?
get to use this packet on the next test.
Uh-huh.
So that whole handbook thing that you got with the book, you will actually use that on the next test.
And we can like write tons of notes and stuff.
You can write some notes in it if you don't get too carried away. It's all right, right?
So just write a little sheet of paper.
Yeah, so I
stick it
can-
in and like, you know.
Like I said,
Write all
within
of
reason.
this on there, an example.
So, in other words, be able to figure out how many days there are between dates using this calendar, okay? So, otherwise, everything else basically flows the same way, right? You're going to say, great, T is 500, R is 28%, which is 0.28, and this time you're going to say T is 235 minus 95 equals 140 days. And how many years is that? 140 over 360 because I said ordinary. If I didn't say the word ordinary, folks, then you use 365, okay? And then it's just a calculator problem, right? 500 times 0.28 times 140 over 360. What'd you get?
54 and 4 ninths would be 54 and 44 cents.
54 and 4 ninths, or 54.44444444. So $54.44. And since I asked it's how much do I pay back, what would I do here at the end?
Subtract 500 minus.
Because that's the interest, this is the principal. Not 5,544. But you're going to pay back $554.44 to close out that loan. Okay? So, in other words, be able to read a Julian calendar and understand what you use it for. It's just there to figure out how many days there are between dates. Now, this one was nice because the dates I gave you were both in the same year. So this time, I'm going to borrow $1,000 at 10% from, let's say, October 3rd of last year until February 15th of this year. How much interest? Yep, doesn't say the word ordinary, so therefore you assume you get to use exact or normal interest if you'd like to think of it like that. So the tricky part here, folks, is that the dates span 2 years. You can't just subtract the two numbers, because that would be how much time is it from February until October. You want to go,
Do you have 365 to whatever the number is?
you're close, but not quite, all right? So, let's start it off. Always the same way, right? 10%, 0.1. So when you go to figure out time, folks, my advice is figure out time for both years. So how many days did you borrow in 2017? How many days did you borrow in 2018? So, how many days is it from October 3rd, 2017 until December 31st, 2017? Well, go to your Julian calendar. October 3rd, what is it? 276? Remember that December 31st, what day is that?
Halloween. Oh, wait.
That's October. We're almost there. What is December 31st?
Oh, New Year's.
Yeah. So, but what number day of the year is it? December 31st.
365.
365, right? So we're going to do 365 minus 276. That's going to give us the number of days in 2017. 89. And then look up February 15th. What is that? 46. So how many days were there in 2018?
318. Oh.
From January 1st until February 15th? 46. If it's the 46th day, how many days have there been? 46. How many total days were there? Just add them up. So note, that's how you do it, okay? You take 365 minus the top number, add the other year's number. Note that you always subtract from the earlier year, okay? Do not subtract from 365 minus 46 and then add 276. That would be totally different. Would not work very well. All right? And again, don't forget, to convert it to years, and since I didn't say ordinary, now it's 365, and now it's back to our being a calculate the interest problem. So I is going to be 1,000 times 0.1 times 135 over 365. How much interest did I end up owing?
36.
$36.59. Does everyone agree?
No,
No, 99.
99? Sorry. Again, round that number correctly. It does not always round up. Round the proper way you round. Good. Not bad. Again, though, be careful with this. The book really, really, really likes to make you guys think about how many days there are between dates. So please be careful. Just be careful, okay? All right. All right, so here's a new problem, right? Let's suppose that I invest $1,500 and earn $40.50 of interest over, let's say, 13 months. What am I going to ask you for? What's missing?
3.
What is the interest rate? And I'm going to say round to 100th of a percent. You will note that just about every chapter, folks, we will be rounding things to hundredths of a percent. Please be ready.
Would you ever do like one with hours? Like you borrow a certain amount of money for a certain amount of hours?
There is only one business that will loan you money on the hour, and it's a very similar business that you pay by the hour, if you know what I mean.
Jeez Louise.
that gonna be on the test though?
No.
I think that was more the question.
No, you will not be asked for borrowing at the hourly level.
We weren't asking about your extracurriculars.
Why to keep you guys interested, right?
Outside of these four walls,
Yeah.
it does not matter.
Not our
I think there's
business.
8 walls kind of in the room.
All right, so folks,
Like,
I want to figure out what the rate is. How do I get rate by itself in that formula? Right now, it's over there with P and T.
Algebra.
Exactly. So let's do some algebra review. How do we get rid of P and T so that R is by itself? Divide! Yay! Good! Alright, so please use this formula that takes the interest and divides by the principal and the time. Please note that the principal and the time are in parentheses. If you are going to put this equation in your calculator, make sure that the principal and the time are in parentheses. If you don't put them in parentheses and do I divided by P times T,
it'll just go to one.
it'll move the T to the top, right? If you have them in parentheses, then you're dividing by the product of them. If you don't have parentheses, then you're just dividing by P and then multiplying by T. Please don't do that.
And we just times P and T and then put that on top?
What if it's an infinitely repeating decimal? Which you should not be surprised if that will happen frequently. Alright, so what did I give you in this problem, folks?
P is 1500.
P is 1500.
Interest is $4.50.
$40.50.
Oh, yeah.
Same difference.
You know, $4,
Sure.
$40.
Time is 13 months.
13 months. And what are you going to tell me about the 13 months?
That's 13.
That it's 13 over 12 years. Again, don't put that in your calculator because it'll be an infinitely repeating decimal and those suck. So work with the fraction, right? Here you go. R is equal to the 40, 50 divided by the product of $1,500 and 13 over 12. And the cool thing about it is that that's totally a calculatable in one step type of calculation. So let's see, what do I get? 40.4 divided by parentheses 1,500 times 13, A, B, C, 12. Close those parentheses. I got this. 0.024923077.
Yep.
Got it.
That's not what I got.
So,
Would you round that to the 2.5?
Be careful. What did it say? What did the problem tell me to do?
To the 100, sorry.
To the hundredths.
2.49.
So move the decimal point over 2, because remember the R always shows up as a rate. You need to convert it into a percent. 2.49%. Do not decide that you know better where to round.
Yeah, sometimes though.
It happens.
Hey, hey,
Follow directions. You old people should know how to follow directions.
we make the
We're the
directions.
ones that don't know how to follow
That's
directions.
true.
Or
Because we
drive.
make them. That's right.
How many times a day I get people coming into fax at my work and we have a direction sheet right there and they're like, I don't know how to do this. Can you come spend 20 minutes over here with me? Yeah, sure. We didn't put a direction sheet there for a reason.
Directions are, they're reading.
There's this guy that old,
Well, how do you get yourself here?
and they always talk about how young people aren't polite, and then you tell them to have a nice day, and then they sit there and stare at you.
Or they see
Or they just
that
walk
you-
away from you
Yeah.
when you're talking.
And they're usually the ones that come in and scream at you. Like, I've never had a person my age come to the store and like scream at me about something. It's always old people.
Hey, be nice to us,
I
okay?
love people.
All right. So let's suppose that I invest $1,500, and earn. Let's say this time. Let's say I earn $33.42. Ooh.
Ugh.
at, let's go 2 3/4%. What am I going to ask this time?
Time.
How long did I invest? And this time I'm going to ask you to give the answer 3 different ways because I'm a jerk. I want you to first do it in years. And I'm going to say in years round to the tenths. Then I'm going to say in months. And I'm going to say round to the hundredths. And then guess what my third form is going to be? In days and round to the thousandths. So figure out time and then give it to me in those 3 different units. Alright, so remember what we're starting from. Our favorite formula. I party.
Sorry.
But now I want time by itself.
Divide by P and R.
Divide by P and R. Excellent. Again, note P and R need to be in parentheses. Please be careful. The nice thing about P and R is that usually these are not nasty fractions, so you could actually multiply those two and just get a number. Usually it's okay. When you have time in there, you can't. But when you've got P and R, it's not so bad. So, what was our interest, folks?
I don't remember.
2.34.
33.42.
Oh,
All right, $33.42. How much did I invest? $1,500. And what was my interest rate?
0.0275.
0.0275. Hey, great. No, not 2.75, but 0.0275. Because that's the decimal representation of the percent.
Did the online kids do better on that test than we did?
Right now, yeah, but there's like 5 or 6 of them still haven't taken it. And it's the 5 or 6 that.
So
You
if they
think they're gonna
don't
do
take
bad?
it, then
Right now, they're doing better than you guys. That's making me nervous about you guys. All right, so what did you get?
Yeah, no.
8.8109.
810, 810, 810, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, what are the units on that number?
What?
What are the units?
Isn't it 81/12?
Yeah, sure.
I did, no.
I don't know. I think you can just help us with this. Just
What is time in all of our formulas, folks? Years. So the units on this particular answer will be in years. Okay, so whenever you're working with these formulas, time must be in years. So this is years. So how are you going to answer your first part of the question? How do you round this to tenths in years? How do you round that number to tenths?
Probably get the
Wouldn't
fraction.
it be 81.1?
Well, no, this is not a percent. This is a number of years.
Oh.
So,
So round that number to the tenths. What is it? Yeah. 0.8 years. It's almost too obvious.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I thought that was a lot.
All right, now, how are you going to convert this to months, folks?
0.81.
With 0.8 years, how many months is that going to be?
0.80.
That's if you're trying it. What is 0.8 divided by 12? What do you get?
0.06.
Does that seem like a reasonable number of months?
Sure.
It would be 10 over 12.
You're getting there. But what do? You get years and convert them into months.
Yeah, subtract.
Well, what do you do to go? What do you go the other direction? How do you convert months into years? You divide by 12. I want to go the opposite direction.
Multiply by 12.
Multiply by 12. So what is 0.8 times 12?
9.6.
There we go. 9.6 months.
But you can't round. That would make more sense than having it 9.6 months.
Well, what did I say about months, though?
I don't know.
Technically, I said round to the hundreds.
Okay. But yes. Correct.
How would we figure out the number of days, folks? Now that you've seen the pattern, what would you do to get days?
Times 365. 292.
Oh yeah, I won't let
Me too. I was about to say that out loud too. That was embarrassing.
I know, I almost said it too, but she stopped me. Thanks.
So no, just remember that you know how to go one direction when you're converting. Please make sure you know how to go the other, right? And it's just the opposite, right? So if you convert months to years by dividing, you convert years to months by multiplying. Vice versa with days, all right?
So with this kind of a problem, is it always going to be the exact for days, or
Not
so-
necessarily.
So it might say.
It might
show
say
me an
ordinary,
case,
and then what would you do instead of using
multiply by
360?
360.
Very good. Same difference, okay? So if this would have been an ordinary interest problem, when you're going to figure out the number of days, you would multiply by 360 instead of 365. Because that's how the number would be based. All right? I do not want any hours, thank you. I still don't want to know the hours. All right. So not bad finding time. All right. So we've done rate, we've done time. What am I going to do last?
Interest.
I've already done
Only
interest.
interest.
Principal.
All right. So if I earn, let's keep it simple this time, $50 of interest. Oh.
You know how to spell interest?
It's just okay.
It's only 1 hour.
Yes. If I earn $50 of interest at, let's say, 5.5% over whatever, let's keep it simple, 6 months, how much did I invest?
That period should be a comma. Just saying.
Hmm?
That period should be a comma. It's not a full sentence.
True. There you go. And so how will I solve for P in this formula, folks?
Interest over T times R.
There you go. R times T, T times R, whichever one makes you happy. Both of them should make you happy. Interest is your $50. Your rate's 5.5%. How do I convert that to a decimal?
0.055. 0.055, sorry.
Yes.
You know what I meant.
I took your implication.
Yes.
And if my time is 6 months, folks, 6 over 12. If it's a nice fraction, what do you get to do? Yeah, what does it reduce to?
1
1/2.
half.
And what might you write instead of 1/2? 0.5. If the decimal is terminating, folks, feel free to switch to a decimal. Okay. So if I give you a nice number of months, 369, say thank you and work with the decimal. All right. So then it's just principal equals 50, all divided by 0.055 times 0.5. What did you end up getting? 1818. 0.18, and so I assume the next number's a 1.
Oh, no, it's just a line over top.
Since it's money, you will round it to the nearest penny. $1,818.18. Not bad? Cool. All right. So, let's see. Let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. So all the different formulas, we've done ordinary and exact. Okay, so last topic, the fun topic. Okay?
This was all fun.
Oh, this is the most fun topic. So let's suppose that I borrow, let's keep it relatively simple. How about $1,000 at 12% ordinary interest. Well, let's say for 120 days. For whatever reason. Let's make it 120 days. So scratch that period at the interest and make it a commerce. Alright. So, but in this particular problem, folks, I don't want to pay off this money once. I'd like to pay it off a little bit earlier. Why do I want to pay off a loan earlier?
So you don't pay as much interest.
You don't pay as much interest. Why?
That's
Why
just how
would
it
you
works.
not want to pay?
No, but why do you pay less interest if you pay it off early? I don't understand.
Because don't you pay the interest before the principal?
Yeah.
Because you borrowed it for a certain amount, but I don't even know where I'm going with that. So just continue.
Accumulates as you go.
The interest is accumulating as you go. Yes, very true.
So if you pay it off, then you won't have to be paying interest.
I think you're saying the right thing, but the concept right is that if you make a payment, what's the payment going to do first? It's going to pay all the accumulated interest. If you pay more than that, then what happens? It starts paying what you borrowing. It starts paying on your principal. And so for the days that follow, instead of calculating the interest on that old larger number, now the principal is less, so the amount of interest you pay per day is less. That's why you pay less money, right? This is why you pay loans off early, because it reduces the principal and you pay less interest, because the amount of money that you're borrowing has gone down. So for this problem, let's say that on the 30th day, I pay whatever. Let's say I pay $300. And then, on the 80th day, I pay $200. And what I want to know is, how much do I pay on the 120th day? How much do I pay on the 120th day to close the loan, right? And it's not $500. All right, so the idea here is that this is what the book calls using the U.S. rule for early payments. This is not a U.S.-only rule, so I'm not exactly sure why the book says this, but whatever. Anyways, the idea is, okay, when you make a payment,
I'm glad you picked the best cookie.
hmm?
You picked the best cookies first.
When you make a payment, what does the payment always do first? Pays interest first, then principal. And the key is, and the loan resets to the new principal. All right? That's the key. This is why it works. Note, folks, that this only happens when you have a loan that allows early payments. Some loans, when they're written, actually say that there are penalties for making early payments. If you have penalties for early payments, then it,
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, then it makes no sense to pay early ever.
But would
Basically,
that-
wait until the last day.
Would it hurt your credit if you paid it early when it says don't pay early?
It won't make a difference one way or the other.
You probably end up just paying more than if you just wait, right?
No, it'll actually always work out to be the exact same. They force the penalty to basically be however much interest you're going to be paying anyways. So
That's
it's-
Because
stupid.
they don't want to lose money.
yeah, they basically said, I want to get a certain amount of interest, period, from this loan, and I'm going to guarantee that I get that much. Whether you pay it one day after you borrow it or 120 days after you borrow it, you're going to pay the full interest fee. That's the way it works.
Still.
That's just the way contracts are often written, right? So usually I advise students to not borrow from places that force you to have a loan that has penalties for early payments. Again, though, you have to do what you have to do sometimes. So, all right. So here's the key then is, when you go to figure out how to do this problem, folks, do it one payment at a time. So on day 30, we pay, was that $300?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's that $300 going to pay first? Interest. How much interest do I owe?
12%.
How do we calculate interest again? PRT. How much was I borrowing? $1,000. What's my rate? 12%. So what am I going to write there? 0.12. All right, now here's where you got to be careful. How many days have I borrowed this money?
30.
30. So how much time? 30 over 360, right? Why 360?
Ordinary.
Because it was ordinary. Good. All right? So how much interest did I accrue?
$10.
$10. So what do I do with that $10?
You 100, no, 300 minus 10. 300 minus 10, and then 1,000 minus 90 is what you owe.
So the idea is that your payment pays the $10 first, in theory. Okay? So you're going to take the $300, subtract $10, and that our payment on the principal was only $290. Okay? And that's the amount that you subtract from the principal. So my new principal is the old principal of $1,000 minus the $290 that I borrowed, or that I paid, sorry. So what am I down to after that $300 payment?
710.
$710. Now, note folks, the loan resets. From now on, you are only borrowing $710 per day, not $1,000. So, we move forward to the next payment, right? When did I make my next payment?
80 a day.
On day 80, I pay $200.
Now, is that the 80 of when you paid the 700 or the 80?
Day 80 from the beginning of the loan. So, what is that $200 going to do first?
And interest.
Pay the interest. How do I calculate interest? PRT. What's P this time, folks? 710. There's the whole point. This is why you pay less interest, because now you're only borrowing $710, not $1,000. What's my rate?
0.12.
Still 0.12. And be careful, folks. How many days have I now borrowed this money?
80 over 360.
Well, now,
Oh, 50.
yeah, I already paid the first 30 days worth of interest. Do I have to pay it again?
No.
No. So I only borrowed this money from the 30th to the 80th day. So note, 50 days worth of interest from the 30th day to the 80th day. So be a little bit careful calculating how many days, because you reset the loan to day 30. So how much interest? $11.83. Now, that makes me a little nervous, right?
Because
Well-
you're paying more than what you originally.
Yeah, I paid $10 of interest the first time, and now it's supposed to be less. Why is it $11.30? That's more. Did we?
Because it's a longer amount of time.
Okay, good. All right. So when you see that there might be a little bit of a hiccup, first think about it a little bit and say, "Oh, this was for 30 days. This was for 50 days. That's a lot more days. It makes sense that even though technically we should be paying less, the number might be a little bit more." Okay. All right. Now, what do I do with that $11.83? All right, exactly. So your payment is going to be $200 minus the $11.83. So how much did I really pay on my loan? $188.17. What do I do with the $188.17? All right. So our new principal is $710 minus the $188.17. What are we down to, folks?
183.
Is that what I have to pay on the 120th day? Oh, why not? There's still more interest. Excellent.
We just love all this math.
Oh, wow, this is life, though, folks. This is exactly how loans work, right?
I hope you give us a lot of room.
Yeah,
And all that.
Yeah, this is a full page problem.
Okay.
All right, so final payment on day 120. So I owe $521.83, but in theory you keep telling me I owe interest. So how do I calculate the interest? PRT. What's my P? 521.83. What's my rate?
112.
Still 0.12. What's my time? 40. Thank you. Because we went from the 80th day to the 120th day, right? How much interest on our final payment? $6.96. So what do I pay to close off this loan?
528.
Awesome. 528, what'd you say, 79? Bam! And we're done.
But now you're going to show us a quicker way.
Oh, sadly there isn't a quicker way for that, sorry. This one is just painful, folks, that's all there is to it. You kind of have to grind through it.
Well, did you say any money? Any amount?
Oh, hey, great question! Let's suppose that there's a separate question down here along the bottom.
Why wouldn't there be?
You knew that was coming. Come on. I knew it was. It was too simple.
How much money do you save by paying early? Supposedly you guys tell me that I will pay less if I pay early. Well, how much do I save? Probably not too terribly much, because the numbers are small.
So we had to do 1,000 times 0.12 times 120 days or 60.
All right, so good. That's the first step. Find interest for only one payment. Right? So I is going to be the $1,000 times 12% times 120 over 360 days, because it's the full 120 days. Never lowering I or P ever.
$40.
$40. So we would have paid $40 in interest. How much interest did we actually pay?
Add one.
Perfect. compare to actual interest paid. So where are interest calculations in this problem, folks?
Right there.
And this is exactly why you do all of these I equals PRT calculations, because you have the interest there available for you. You can quick go back and get it, right? $10, 1183, and 696, right?
28,
So 10, 1183, and what was that last one?
696.
696, and what did you say it was?
28,
2879 is how much interest we actually paid.
And then $40.
How much did we save?
$40.21.
Nice. 40 minus 2879. Basically, you saved a little bit over $10.
But if it was a bigger loan, it'd be a lot more money.
Oh yeah, right. If you borrowed $10,000, that number turns into $110. Uh-huh. So again, for small numbers, it's not that big. It shouldn't make a huge deal, but still, I mean, are you going to piss away $11 for nothing? Hopefully not, because if you are, then I'm going to become your accountant, and I'd be happy to take care of your money for you. And anytime I need lunch, I'll be like, oh yeah, we'll just put it on, my business math student, because they don't mind. $10 to them is nothing.
Hey, that's a sub from Subway.
That's more than a sub.
No,
That's a
it's
meal
not
from
like
Subway.
$12.
That's like a nice sweet coffee from Starbucks.
Yeah, right, exactly. A small one. All right, so not too bad. All right, so now I have to make it more interesting, right?
One letter.
So this one I was sort of nice because I gave you the days. What am I going to do in the next one?
9 days.
You're gonna give us months.
I'm going to give you dates. All right. So on this one, this time, I'm blue. Let's suppose that I borrow $5,000.
Borrow a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm always in debt. Let's suppose that I borrow $5,000 on September 25th of last year. Interest is, let's keep it simple, like 19.9%. Okay, that's not simple, but whatever. All right. I pay $1,000 on, let's say, October 29th, 2017. I pay $2,000 on, let's say, December 22nd, 2017, and then I pay off the loan on, let's say, February 2nd, 2018. And of course, all I want to know is how much was that payment on February 2nd?
Right.
And while you're at it, you may as well figure out how much money you saved too, right?
Mine is now.
How much on February 2nd and how much saved? The whole point, right, of paying early is to save, so we got to figure that out. That's definitely crucial.
If you say so.
You want to see how much money you save?
It's probably be around a couple $100.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why you want to do it, so that you save a couple $100, right? Again, if you don't want to save a couple $100, I'm happy to be your accountant at any time you need me. I'll take care of your money, plus or minus a couple $100. Probably
Plus, you have money on too.
plus, probably minus, but you never know. I might earn some interest.
Yeah, he'll take your money so he can pay off your debt.
All right, folks, so here we go. One of the things that you should probably do right away when you start dealing with problems that have dates in it is just go to your calendar and write down the numbers for those dates. Look them up. Just do it in one fell swoop. So somebody look up September 25th for me.
268.
268,
October 29th, 302.
302,
December 22nd, 356.
356,
I didn't get to the other one yet.
February 2nd,
33.
30. Because those are going to be the numbers that you use to figure out how many days, right? So, what do we do first? Again, it's always follow the payments, right? So, that payment of $1,000 on October 29th, right? Is that what I said? Yeah. So, October 29th, pay $1,000. What's the $1,000 going to do first?
Interest.
Pay interest. What's my interest?
We don't know yet.
0.199.
That's the interest rate.
Oh.
Do the PRT. Borrow your $5,000 times 0.199 for the interest rate. Now, how much time? 302 minus 268, because from September 25th to October 29th, within the same year, you just get to subtract.
34 over 365.
30, oops, let me do it in blue. 302 minus 268. 34.
Over 365.
365. And again, nowhere did it say ordinary, so it's 365. So how much interest did I have to pay?
92.
$69.
69 cents.
Wouldn't it be 68 cents? It's 0.68493.
0.684, so 68 cents. What do I do with that 9268?
5,000 minus 9268.
Careful.
You know,
Did I pay $5,000?
pay 1,000.
Yeah. And that is a classic mistake, folks, is that they take the 9268 and immediately start taking it off the principal. Be careful. Don't let that happen, right? So my payment becomes the $1,000 minus 9268. 907.32. So what is my new principal?
4,092.68.
5,000 minus 907.32, which is $4,092.68. And folks, if you notice, you can kind of condense these two lines here, payment and new principal. If you want, you could put these all together by saying the new principal is $5,000 minus the $1,000 payment plus the $92.68 interest payment, right? Because if you subtract 1,000, you get to 4,000, and then add the 92.68, it just gets you the 92.68. You can do that in one step if you like. All right. I tend to do it in two because the first 3 or 4 years that I taught this, and I always did the shortcut, people didn't understand what the hell I was doing. All right. When I say that your payment always pays the interest first, people are a little bit better at keeping track of it. So I will always do it in 2 steps. If you would like to condense these to one, I'm okay with that. All right? All right, so that's our new principal. What do we do next?
December 22nd.
Yeah, move to the next payment, right? So December 22nd. Pay, how much did I pay?
2,000.
$2,000, awesome. What does that $2,000 do first?
Interest.
The interest.
Interest. How do we calculate the interest?
So 4,092.68
$4,092.68
times
Don't forget the interest rate. And now how many days this time?
54.
Why?
Because you've already used 34 of the.
Yeah, we've reset to the new date, right? We reset the loan to the new date, October 29th. So you just have to take the sequence from October 29th to December 22nd. 356 minus 302. Again, it's not ordinary, therefore it's exact. 54 over 365. And what do I do with that 120.49? All right, good. So take it off of your payment, right? Minus 120.49. 1879.51. Exactly. Get your new principal. 4,092.68 minus 1879.51. 2213.17. Almost home, folks. Last but not least, February 2 payoff loan. So I owe 2213.17 plus however how much interest I have accrued. I equals PRT. What's my principal? 2213.17. Do not forget the interest rate. And now how many days from December 22nd until February 2nd? How are you going to figure it out? What are your days?
33 minus 356, or 356 minus 33.
Don't you do 365 minus 356 to the rest of 17? And then you add 33? Remember we were talking?
Uh-huh. So 9 days left in 2017, right? From December 22nd to December 31st. Plus the 33 days in 2018. 42 days. $68 seems to be a bit of a theme for us. So my final payment amount. $2263.85 to pay off the loan. These ones just take you being patient, learning to essentially rinse, repeat. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It's like taking a shower and cleaning your hair. Apparently you never get to finish because on the bottle it always says rinse and repeat. So if you put the soap in your hair, lather, rinse, and then repeat, you that's why I don't ever read directions on the shampoo bottle. I never get out of the shower. First thing you see. All right, so last but not least, folks. Savings.
Add up all the interest.
And do what with it?
And then subtract on that.
Subtract it from?
From the payment.
How do we figure out savings, folks? What do we got to do first?
Figure out how much interest you would pay if you paid it all at once.
Yeah, how much interest would you pay in one payment? How do we figure out interest again?
Well, you didn't know how many days we had to look for.
We got to figure out how many days we need to look for. Advice from the wise, folks. You've calculated those days. Use them to your advantage. How many days have we borrowed this money?
34 plus 100 more plus 42.
Uh-huh. You can calculate the days if you want using the calendar, but you've already done it once. So go ahead and use the fact that you've done 34, 54, and 42. 34 plus 54 plus 42. How many days did I borrow this?
130.
Oh, nice. 130 days. So, interest in one payment. P, $5,000, so I'm not paying anything off early. 0.199. 130 over 365. How much would have I paid? $0.38. Okie dokie. So that's how much interest I would have paid. How much interest did I actually pay?
$263.
Interest paid. How did you get that number? Add up the $50.68. The $120.49. And the $92.68. And again, this is why you like to do this in a relatively neat fashion, so it's not too painful to go back and find the numbers that you were working with. So, $92.68. I already forgot. $120.49. And $50.68. What did you say that number was?
263.
Yeah, so much for saving hundreds of dollars.
We didn't borrow that much. And we had a good interest rate. Sorry, what did you guys say that was? 90?
53.
53. Whew.
Now I'm sweating.
Good. That's good stuff, folks. I mean, those kind of problems are just fun. All right, obviously. What? I mean, it wasn't like we did anything complicated, right? I mean, it wasn't like we were doing this nasty, crap-ass algebra formula or anything like that, right? We were just applying the standard rule of interest equals principal rate times time and saying this is how it works in the real world.
I just have to say your idea of fun and my idea of fun are completely different.
You had fun doing this, Mandy, didn't you?
I think it was okay.
Yeah, no, it was okay. And the nice part about it is that you kept getting the right numbers, and you're like, yeah, this is cool. I mean, this isn't painful as long as you are careful. All right. So, anyways, folks, that is the end of chapter 10.
So we're leaving early?
Ooh, it's time.
Yeah, it's like
So, what am I going to do? Homework. Chapter 10. What did we go up to in chapter 10?
All the way to the channel.
Exactly.
all the way to the done.
To 32 or 38 or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, right.
37, 36.
36?
36.
No, 36 is a challenge problem.
36 is the challenge problem even? Okay, so just
Well, I mean, you can do
34.
so 34 evens and 36 is your extra credit, like always. We will do some review on Thursday and then move into chapter 12. skipping chapter 11, we will start talking about compound interest and how interest really works in the banking world when you start investing. This is the fun stuff, folks. Earning money for doing nothing.
You're gonna have to win now.
Yeah, 1.6 billion, folks. Just think about investing that much money. Of course, you know,
Find the company. You have found this article that says the Supreme Court declares default interest which exceeds ordinary interest by 2 percentage points as abusive.
interesting. Is that recent? Is that like in 2005 or something?
2015.
Wasn't that recent? Wow. They're trying to start regulating payday loan shops, and so part of what they've been doing has been doing studies to say this is why it's abusive for payday loan shops to charge the interest that they do. But it's basically become a state rule, so only states that regulate businesses will actually pass a law that regulates payday loan shops. Our current governor does not regulate businesses in any way, shape, or form, so there are no regulations in Wisconsin.
There's a bunch of people in shops down on Mill Avenue.
Oh yeah. They know where to go. They know where people need money for a short period of time and usually have a job to pay it back. There's always details, right?
I have a question.
Yes, Brandon.
I don't understand, because you said no, so I did it, and it'd be 350, but how would the cousin have more money if you have 25%? I don't understand.
I have 25% more, right?
Right.
Right.
So you have 280, so the number has to be less.
I agree. But the key here is that 280 equals 25% more than what my cousin has. I don't know what my cousin have, right? So what's x plus 0.25x?
1.25.
How are you gonna?
Just divide it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just set it up.
Yep. And the key here is realizing that this says more, which means you do not subtract. Okay. And it works the same way going the other direction. So if it says less, never add. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. How many Monroe people need one of the packets? Okay, I think I have some copies out there, but I'll send the copy out to the front desk people, so just in case they can make a couple more if they need them. Yeah, I could post the PDF if you want me to. Okay. Oh crap! Gotta stop the camera.